And welcome to another episode of the 6 Minute Obsession. My name is Dr. Mark Kosman. I am co-host here with the star of your show, attorney Robert Graff. Hey, Rob.
Hi, Dr. Mark. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm trying not to obsess about 6 minutes at a time, but we're going to take 12 minutes as usual here. We're taking zero point 0.2 billable hours I still can't help but keep calling this like pain relief for the legal profession. How do you like that?
It sounds good to me. It's a little cheaper than Tylenol.
That's right. That's right. Well, I don't know. At zero point 0.2 billable hours for the average downtown attorney, now probably Tylenol wins, right? So let's get right into the heart of the matter here. I mean, we are talking about the life of an attorney who's kind of gotten out there and is not quite sure that they have arrived where they signed up for, or maybe they arrived what they were signed up for, but they envisioned something else. So I want to talk about envisioning because that's a big part of the work you do, right?
That's right. Yeah, a lot of it is setting a goal and it's envisioning what your ideal goal is and then working back from there and trying to create a path that's similar to it or at least something that you find suitable that you can live with.
So one of the things I know that you have lived through, obviously, as an attorney and that you work with your attorney clients working through is the fact that there's just, let's face it, it's almost like bragging rights in the legal field. I'm working 80 hours a week, 100 hours a week. It's the endless hours at work.
Right.
So I know that one of the things that you have people do in terms of using, visioning, trying to envision, the future and a much more ideal future, is to have people start thinking, what would their ideal law firm really look like? So tell me a little bit about how you go about that and how that will help an attorney to start getting a better balance in their life.
Well, the first thing is let me answer those questions backwards. It works because it helps an attorney or any of my clients really figure out what they want. We get so lost in the everyday of how much work I have to do, how many hours I have to spend doing this, how much time I'm spending away from my family, that we kind of lose sight of what we want. And it's about getting back in touch with what we want and our prime values and our prime goals in life. So what I normally ask is when I'm meeting with clients or speaking with clients over the phone is that they have a silent room, a silent area where there's no distractions, and they think, they can close their eyes if they want, but they think about what their ideal is. Who are their ideal clients? Who are their ideal coworkers? How many hours would they logistically want to work a week? None of my clients want to sit at home. We're too A-type personalities to want to sit at home all day and do nothing.
Right. I
So
gotcha.
it's really, what we want to do and how would you do it? And it's really just opening ourselves up, taking the blinders off, like a horse has blinders on, taking those blinders off and really figuring out what you want out of life and how you can get there is really the next step after that. But it's just releasing that energy of saying, I don't know what I want or I don't know how to get there, to at least I have some vision of freedom or flexibility or peace that I really want to get to.
Yeah. So, I mean, part of this is really, looking at the law firm that you're actually working in, where you're feeling this kind of stress, and trying to identify what's less than ideal there, and then in your mind starting to try to picture how things could look better in a better law firm. Is that kind of what this step is looking like? Yeah.
In a way, except
Okay.
you have that dissonance between your ideal and your reality, but it's trying to figure out what I got this ideal. I have the ideal. Let's say I'm working 50 hours a week. I have X, Y, and Z clients. And the choice really becomes, how can I make this work where I'm at right now?
Mm-hmm.
Is
Right.
this something I can make work from where I'm at, or do I need to take those steps to find a new job that kind of is similar, more similar, or exactly like my vision?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing, unless you're working for yourself, unless you can legitimately say, I just won the lottery, I can work as many hours or as little hours as I want, take as many or as little clients as I want, then that's wonderful. But in reality, we need to figure out what is working for me where I am. And if we vision what we think as their ideal, you might actually be surprised that you might already have your ideal, or you might only be a couple steps away from your ideal. But until you lay out those positives and say, this is what I want and this is how I can achieve it, then we never know if it's really there. We, as I don't know whether it's the adversarial setting or whether it's just human nature, but we spend a lot of time thinking about the negative. When
Sure.
if we switched it around and looked at the positive and how to get to the positive rather than how to escape the negative of where we're at, a lot more opportunity opens up for us.
Yeah, it almost reminds me, I mean, as a psychologist, I've worked in places where I work with people who have chronic physical pain. So we're talking about kind of chronic emotional pain here, but even with chronic physical pain, I mean, one of the things that has helped a lot of people is really focusing on all the things that are not going wrong in your body, even though you have that pain. Because sometimes, I mean, literally chronic pain that is not remitting and you can't, doesn't respond to medication. And it's funny how, if you really just kind of scan through the body systematically for a certain amount of time, there's a rebalancing that happens just by concentrating on what's not wrong, and so I would imagine a similar thing can happen as someone's really, taking inventory of, yes, there are things that are irritating me about the law firm I work in, but there's probably a lot that is working very well in there that we don't necessarily focus on because negative has a way of kind of sucking up the attention in the room, right?
Right, and dealing with people who are working with other negative people, misery loves company.
Sure, that is true. You guys are generally in the room with an unhappy person, right? Let's face it.
Right, exactly. I did some writing today, and one of it was we deal with agitated people, and how do we not let that agitation affect us? Now, there's some lawyers out there that can easily say, I'm just going to focus on the facts of my case and what's the outcome of my case and not worry about the emotional side. But we're human, and we do experience that emotional side, and sometimes we get caught up in that emotional side. So what can we learn from that experience, and how can we do better the next time? Nobody wants to, I can give a perfect example that nobody wants to run from a job to another job because I guarantee you're going to be at the same job again.
Right.
It'll be different people, it'll be
Funny
different
how that
players.
Works, right? Yeah.
And in the end, it's you. And I don't mean to say that negatively, but it's your stuff that you're bringing with you, and it's your energy that you're bringing with you. It's finding that like energy that is causing you to find the same system over and over again. Right. So by creating this vision of the ideal, it's at least giving something to look for, and it raises that energy, it raises that creativity. We're creative people. Attorneys are creative people. I believe all of us are in one way or another. We're creative people. So we can raise that energy, and we can see, hey, this is my ideal. This is what I want to strive to meet. And then that's the first step. It's breaking that down. Aspects of clients, aspects of colleagues, the camaraderie there, which is an important thing, aspects of hours worked, aspects of if you want to be somebody that goes out and is a rainmaker or somebody that wants to sit behind a desk all day. If you don't want to do both, maybe a small law firm where you are supposed to go out and build a client base, build a book of business is not the right place for you. Right. But until you vision what you're looking for, you don't even know that.
Right. No, excellent point. So now the next thing that you really ask people to envision too, beyond the firm itself, is, because we're talking work-life balance here, is how much time you would ideally want to be spending in the work environment versus at home. And I would imagine part of it also is your ability to kind of not bring the work home with you and really have that sense of balance. But tell me a little bit more about how you ask people to envision that balance of time, literally the division of time in terms of their day-to-day life.
Well, it's really taking those responsibilities that they have and how do they want them to fit in? How do all the pieces fit together? Life is a puzzle, and those pieces need to fit together. And we have that framework of how they fit together, but sometimes, pieces look similar and you kind of just, I don't know if you've had little puzzles where you just kind of shove those pieces in because they kind of look like they're right, but they don't.
I'll make it fit.
Yeah, exactly. So it's about seeing, how much time do I want to spend at home? How much time does my family really want me there at home?
There's an important question too, right?
Am I going to be at home and I'm going to envision my time at home where we're going to be out playing ball all the time? Instead, my child walks up to me and says, let's go play ball, and I'm sitting at the desk saying, sorry, I got to get work done. If you envision your time at home as doing work and that's all you're doing, how is that helping this work-life balance? It just seems like you're doing more work at home.
Right. Right.
Are there going to be distractions? Do you envision the time at home as a distracting time, as a time that you can't get work done?
Mm-hmm.
And that leads to, as we talked about last week, greater stressors. If you're just going to be sitting there stressing over work, then why, again, are you envisioning all this free time at home when you really don't have it?
Right. Then that's the moment your spouse tells you, why don't you just go back to the office because you're not really here.
Right.
Now, and then beyond the balancing of the time itself, you also really kind of get into how that balance feels, right? Am I barking up the right tree here with this part of the vision?
It's a lot about thoughts, feelings, and actions.
Okay.
So you have this thought. I have this thought about this is how I want to be. And then you have the feeling, well, this is the thought that I'm having. What is the feeling? I feel happy. I feel release. I feel excited about being at home. And then what actions are you going to take based on those emotions?
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about, you have to have those positive thoughts to have those positive feelings to really have that drive and those positive actions going there. So yeah, it is important about addressing those feelings and understanding what those feelings are.
Excellent. Okay. Well, we're heading up on the end of our 0.2 billable hours here, and we want to honor that time because we don't want to add to people's stress. We want to ease their pain. So I know that you are a very busy guy, Rob, between your coaching practice and your legal practice, but you have made some time available, and I want to make sure people know that that you're being quite generous with your time. That if they come to Graff.Standard.com, that's right here on the screen, that there's a way for them to sign up for a free consultation with you. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And the other thing I definitely want to encourage people to do is that we will be back here with another episode. In fact, we're going to get into values and how the values that you hold are going to start impacting the stress and the balance of your life. We're going to talk about that in the next episode of the 6-Minute Obsession. So if you're watching this on Graff.Standard.com, or if you're not, come over to Graff.Standard.com, and at the bottom of this post, make sure you subscribe so that you get notifications when the next episode is up. So that's about the amount of time I think we have today, Rob.
That is. Have a good one.
Have a good one, and ease your pain, folks. It gets better.